This time on Holy Ghost Notes, I'm better than you because.
Wait, what?
I know I play better. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, just rub it in my face, why don't you?
I think so. Hey, this is Matt and Tim, and you're listening to the Holy Ghost Notes. Welcome.
What's up?
What's going on, man? Good morning to you. Hope you got your coffee
Good
this
morning.
morning. It's an early one.
I didn't get my coffee yet.
Oh, you
I did
didn't?
not. No,
Okay.
my we haven't talked about coffee in a while, have we?
We have not.
Probably for the better. My coffee machine is so loud.
It's funny.
And my son is still sleeping, so yeah, just rub it in my face, why don't you?
You know, that was not intentional, but I understand why you'd say that. I have a story for you about early morning. Something that happened recently. Can I tell you?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
It was kind of traumatic.
Okay.
So last week we got a snowstorm.
Yeah.
In the Northeast, we got a lot of snow. We don't always get a lot of snow. So I'm one of those people that if it's cold, let it snow. I thought it was great. Well, I do snow removal for a buddy of mine.
Mm-hmm.
His name's Josh Longenecker. His nickname's Buck. So the company's called Buck's Lawn Care. So every time it snows, I get a call. I know exactly what the call is about. It's not, hey, how are you? It's, you able to work for me?
Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right. I know you need me, man. This is not about fun. This is about work. And no, he's a really, really great boss. He's a great friend, hilarious. We have a lot of fun working together. Just
Awesome.
Just a good time. So, except for this night. It's funny. It's usually a good time. So I went out at 3 a.m. It had been snowing for a little while. Believe it or not, that was late compared to the rest of the crew. I just needed to get some sleep because I had some studio work to do that day, and I didn't want to be completely wiped out.
Yeah.
So I worked from 3 to 9, and then the snow stopped. And I plow a bunch of parking lots. I plow a church. I plow a couple businesses in Mannheim, you know. And I just kind of make the circuit until the parking lots are clear. Anyway, I run a truck plow, so I know the route. I got it done. Cool. Headed to the studio. It starts snowing again. And it starts really snowing.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, I'm going to get everything done here and then get out of here because the roads are getting bad and I actually need to get to work.
Yeah.
So I started plowing at 5:45 p.m. and I worked until 3:30 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
So I was awake for 24 hours, exhausted, but you know, I was still doing well at 3 o'clock in the morning. I had 2 more properties to do. So we went to Mannheim. There's a church there called St. Paul's Church. And I've been there before landscaping. I've never plowed. So I was shown how to plow it, and the gentleman left, and now I was alone. Well, I noticed to my right there was there was sort of something questionable. There was something, I had an eerie feeling about something that was happening on the premise.
Okay.
And do you know what I mean when I say like you can't really explain why you have a weird feeling about it? It just gives you this something doesn't feel right. Well, I had that feeling the whole time I was opening up this parking lot.
Huh.
And I made sure to be safe and kind of like open up my end rows so I wasn't close to anybody's house or anybody's fence or anybody's car. I gave myself tons of margin because I was tired and I knew I probably wasn't I wasn't as acute as I was when I started. So about 20 minutes into this job, I hear somebody yell at me. I have my window down because when you're plowing, it gets really hot in your truck. Mm-hmm. You need it to be hot so the windshield doesn't frost over, but it just gets so hot. So you roll your window down. I clearly hear someone yelling at me. I ignored it, hoping it was just something happening out there in the world that didn't affect me. And sure enough, I heard it again. And this gentleman runs up to me. He's wearing bright orange, snowmobile suit. I had seen him because he was wearing bright orange and because he's out at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems strange to me.
Yeah.
I sat there as he berated me. he claimed that I almost hit him. He was using expletives, which I'll leave out of the story. Probably more expletives than non-expletives. And I'm just sitting there, just like this, just sitting here in my truck.
Yeah.
In drive, but foot on the brake, waiting to make my next run, hoping this doesn't continue. And he just keeps going and going and going. And he said, don't use your mirrors. Didn't you see me? I didn't say anything. And then he looked at my left ear, and I have an AirPod in, just one. So my boss can call me, talk to me. I have transparency mode on so that I can hear what's going on. But at least that way I'm hands-free is what it's called, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So he starts giving me a hard time about that. It's illegal. He's going to report me for having this. This is the first time I talked. I said, I'm only wearing one. I'm not wearing one in this year. I don't drive with it in. I'm just working with it in this parking lot in case I get a call from my boss. Explain the situation. He continues to talk about how if I had hit him, right, what he would have done. And he said, I would have come up to your truck. I would have opened the door. I would have pulled you out of your truck, and I would have dragged you across the parking lot.
In a church parking lot.
In a church parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Man, that takes it to a new level.
Yeah, that's pretty serious. This guy's pretty fired up. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty fired up. That's right.
Yeah.
So this is the first time I'm really like speaking to this issue that he's accusing me of, a serious thing.
Yeah.
Which okay, and I said, I'm sorry. I am sorry. I said it, I put it out there, and he said, sorry doesn't cut it. Sorry doesn't replace me. And he starts walking away and turns around and then just starts laying into me again about how if I had hit him, here's what I would have done. So do you know that fight or flight thing that kicks in whenever you feel like there's about to be a fight?
Yeah.
Yep. That was about the moment because I realized, if this thing was going to be diffused, I obviously didn't hit him.
Yeah.
I know with 100% certainty that I wasn't close to hitting him because of what I did before I started plowing the parking lot to make sure I didn't have to be close to anybody. If I was close to hitting him, it's because he was walking into a part of the parking lot I was plowing that he shouldn't have been in. But certainly I was not close to hitting him on his property.
Right.
And by the way, he's wearing bright orange. So the whole thing.
You wouldn't have hit him. Yeah.
Checks out. So, but I figured I'm sorry would be enough to say, okay, let's just squash this so I can finish this job and we can all go to bed. It wasn't. And when I realized it wasn't enough, I called my boss and I said, Buck, I'm getting out of here. And he said, cool, parking lot done? No, parking lot's not done. I'm not going to finish it either because the way my logic is working out right now, it's better for there to be some snow in a church parking lot on a Tuesday afternoon, I'm sorry, when the church service isn't until Sunday, than for me to potentially be accused of something for which there are no witnesses to defend me.
Yeah.
And he's like, cool, go home and sleep. Now, I explained the situation a little bit.
Yeah.
So I got home and I couldn't really sleep, man. I couldn't sleep. I had this guy's face in my head and just being accused of something with like so much, I don't know. The guy was he was angry, like hurt you angry.
Yeah.
And man, it was interesting. I was tired and I'm glad that I made the decision I did to get out of there. It's a shame that anything like that had to happen at all, but just reminded me that
that's crazy, man.
It just reminded me that, we're only in control of how we handle ourselves in any situation. And, I'm glad that I said fewer words, not more words. I'm not saying that I handle myself perfectly because he probably took what I said as like being facetious. Me saying I'm sorry, but I really didn't mean it that way. I was just like, I'm sorry. Like that was probably not fun for a truck to be that close to you that you feel like I was going to hit you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was just a very, very strange situation.
Yeah.
And I don't interact with a lot of people that are like that.
Yeah.
It's it's kind of a test. It felt like a test.
I'd place that under the test list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like an oddball to me.
Yeah.
It's a little off, a little off about that.
I think so. And that makes me upset even more, because it's just like that guy. I mean, who knows what that guy's story is,
Right.
That guy, that guy was 35 years old at one point. Like, by the way, he was probably in his 60s. I didn't mention his age, but
Okay.
but our stories all lead us to become who we are, right? And it's like at any given point, we have touch points with people all around us, and it's our decision to make the right decision in that moment and how we handle it.
Yeah.
And it was a unique experience for me because, admittedly, I'm really fortunate to be surrounded by people who, are just generally
Don't
nice
treat people like that.
Yeah, they just don't.
Yeah.
But I'm aware of the fact that a lot of people aren't given that type of environment. There are a lot of people out there who rub shoulders with people who are not nice, and just mean. In the workplace, in their community, and that gave me a better perspective of what that's like. Not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, dealing with people is one of the hardest things in life. It's one of the most rewarding things.
True.
Especially when you have a group of good people around you, like you mentioned. But it is one of the hardest things, especially in business, which I guess this wasn't necessarily for you a business exchange, but you were working, so I guess kind of is.
Kind of, yeah.
But
it was like on the job.
Yeah, you were on the job,
but not a coworker.
But it's something that could have happened, outside of the job, I guess.
That's
technically.
Right.
But yeah. It seems like you handled yourself well. I totally get not being able to sleep after that, though. The adrenaline's so high, and
Man.
Adrenaline is an amazing thing. I don't know if you've ever read stories about what adrenaline can do, but mothers picking up cars to save their kids that are stuck beneath. Adrenaline is a powerful chemical.
Yeah.
And it doesn't leave your system very quickly.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
You probably had a really good sleep after it wore off, but
yeah, like when my alarm went off, I felt like I was about to sleep pretty well,
Yeah. Too
about
bad you
that
couldn't.
moment.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go
you couldn't
play
just
drums.
Call Grant. Yeah. Hey, Grant, I've got a lot of adrenaline right now. Can we just start right now?
I probably could. That kid's so talented, but I couldn't live with myself.
That's
So
funny.
speaking of mothers with adrenaline and your current situation, you're about to have a baby.
Yeah, any day now, any second. I have my phone right in front of me, and if I get a call, it's go time, because she knows I'm recording this, and so if a call comes through, I'm stopping Pro Tools and I'm running out of here. Sorry, man.
No,
But yeah,
it
could happen any day. We thought he'd be here by now, and he's not, but he'll come when it's the right time. So we're just
That's right.
It's a tough place to be in, like this. So my son was induced, so we had a date.
Mm-hmm.
We knew exactly what to do to prepare for it, and we went into the hospital knowing when we come out of here, we're walking out with our first child, And this one is just like, we've been in this waiting mode for 2 weeks because we just had no idea what was going to happen with, Julianne's, my wife's previous condition with, she had liver failure with my first. So there was we have to have appointments ready with the doctor and be ready to go in. So this hasn't been as bad this time around, but you just never know. And so especially the last few days, leading up to the due date, was just I can't schedule anything, can't plan anything. We're trying to be very careful, with the COVID stuff, because even though we're not super uptight or nervous about getting it, but we're not even allowed, I'm not allowed into the hospital if I have symptoms.
That's right.
Or have a fever or anything. And the baby, there was a chance that the baby was going to be taken to the NICU if she tested positive. So we were just trying to be really careful, like no exposure.
Absolutely.
And it's just a really tough place to be in when you're there for like 2 weeks of like waiting, like any minute now.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's all worth it in the end. And this is the thing that I will completely forget. Well, now I won't because it's on a podcast episode. But this is the type of thing that I normally would forget about, a couple years down the road. It's like,
Right.
oh, yeah, remember the pregnancy? Not really. It kind of fades after a while once the baby comes, your priorities shift. But yeah, man, it's a crazy time. I'm glad we were able to sit down and have a conversation. These conversations are the ones that I look forward to the most, I think, and stick with me. So I'll probably still be thinking about these. Well, I probably won't be thinking about this when the baby's coming, but maybe up until the baby comes, I'll be thinking about this stuff.
Yeah, and then you won't be anymore. Well, we're thinking of you, rooting for you, praying for you guys.
Thank you.
I appreciate you making some time to do this morning. I know the episode. Yeah. So today is admittedly a Saturday. Super Bowl's tomorrow. This episode comes out on the 10th. So, which as it turns out is Wednesday, I believe. So by the time you hear this, Tim probably has a baby.
Yes,
Certainly, we all hope for their sake that it happens sooner than later because your wife is very, very pregnant. More pregnant than she's ever been pregnant before in her pregnancies.
Yes. Yeah. Very pregnant, very uncomfortable, not sleeping, the works. But
Jeez.
Yeah. So Super Bowl is tomorrow. You kind of slipped that in there. Who you got? Who you got for the Super Bowl?
Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Tom Brady factor. And the defense. Mahomes and the Chiefs are so fast and so good. Are they stoppable or are they unstoppable? The Buffalo Bills could not keep up with the speed. I think the Bucs defense is going to, and I think Tom Brady's going to do what he does best.
Yeah.
What about you?
I've got a bad feeling that Tom Brady's going to take another Super Bowl ring home with him.
Crazy, right? I mean,
it's insane.
It's crazy.
I saw a meme yesterday. It was like, this might have been in the Inner Circle meme group, but it was like, when we said we wanted things to go back to normal, we didn't mean Tom Brady in the Super Bowl again.
Wow.
But it's so true. I mean, the guy has been in the Super Bowl more times than anybody. It's like insane, it's ridiculous now. And he switches teams and you think, all right, at least we don't have the, Belichick Brady combo anymore, and goes and does it again.
Dude, he's so confident. I think it's his confidence that gives him success. I think sometimes faking it till you make it is a greater asset to anybody than the ability to do that thing.
Yeah.
Like Tom Brady being on the team gives everybody the confidence that they can win, even if the Chiefs are a better team, and they are.
It's like having him is like a rite of passage.
That's
like
right.
Our quarterback is Tom Brady, so,
So we're going to win. I'm going to play better because my quarterback is Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Because he's confident and he says we're going to win. And it's the reason I'm sitting here in my studio saying the Buccaneers are going to beat the Chiefs.
Right.
It's the Tom Brady factor.
Is their quarterback. Yeah. They do have a stacked offense though. I mean, with Mike Evans and Gronk is back with Brady as the tight end.
AB came back. I mean,
they've got a huge offense there. It's insane. Every name on that list you recognize.
So the Bucs are going to have to stop Hill and Kelsey to win. They're going to have to slow them down. They can't stop them. But the Bills failed at staying on top of Kelsey, and I think that was – obviously you can't do that. Yeah. So obviously the Bucs have been able to watch the Bills tape since then, and Gronk has to have a huge game.
Yep.
AB and Evans probably have to have huge games too. I mean – just the fact that Antonio Brown came back, he was making hip hop, that long ago, he was waking up at 11 in the morning and turning on his MacBook Pro and recording loops.
How would it have been to be in that conversation with the Bucs management team? What if we make a play for Brady? What if we revitalize our offense a little bit here? What if we start a new team?
Yeah. Yeah.
That conversation must have been like groundbreaking. This team hasn't done anything. I mean, the hard part for me is that I want to root for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Because they've done so poorly. Like they're the underdog as a team.
Yeah.
But I can't root for them because Brady is not the underdog. Brady is the one who's always in the Super Bowl winning.
That's right.
So it's just it's a weird,
Who does it say more about, Tom Brady or Belichick?
I think it has a lot to do. I think this is a tough year for Belichick because he felt like he was responsible for a lot of this, and I think he had a hand in making the decision of letting Tom go from the Patriots. And so I think he's regretting that decision a little bit because he's realizing now that he can't do it with any quarterback, and Tom had a lot to do with the success of the team.
I mean, Cam Newton is no slouch. Like, the guy's good at football.
No, Cam's a good quarterback.
It's not like he's got some. Yeah, I think it says a lot about. It says a lot about both people, but for a lot of people, Bill Belichick was the reason Tom Brady was great, and now it's clear that as great of a quarterback as Belichick is, maybe the greatest of all time, he's not what he could be without Tom Brady at the helm.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And certainly Tom Brady makes Bill Belichick a more successful, winning, the most winningest coach.
Winningest
coach. Oh my
man.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I mean, we both love sports. Sports are awesome. And I'll be watching sports with my family, and hopefully you'll get to see it, depending on how things play out the next 48
we were
hours.
planning it out yesterday. We're like, if we're in the hospital, as long as the baby's like not literally coming out, let's figure out a way to have the Super Bowl on TV.
That's right. So does your wife want to watch it too?
Wings. Oh, yeah. My wife is a bigger football fan than I am.
Oh, cool. So she wants to watch it. Well, dude, how great would it be if you have the baby, say, like, today, and then tomorrow can be a little bit more relaxing. You have the game on.
Yeah.
It's all the pregnancy's behind you. Like,
that would
life
be perfect.
is just fine and dandy. Yeah.
If she, ideally, if we finish recording this episode and she's like, hey, we're ready, like, that would be perfect.
Yeah.
We'll just go, have the baby. My son is staying at my in-laws. We'll just stop there on the way back from the hospital with the new baby, watch the Super Bowl, come home, like
that would be
that
great.
would be perfect. I'm not expecting it to happen that way, but that would be great.
Well, maybe. There's always a chance.
There's a chance.
Yeah.
We'll start praying hard during this this recording. But so speaking of Tom Brady and sports and determination and winningness. Winningness. We have some cool topics today. Our drum topic specifically is speed and stamina, which Matt has a little bit more to say about that than I do, but it's going to be a fun one. And then our faith topic is, what are you missing out on? So I'm excited to dive into both of these. So, Matt, why don't you kick it off with speed and stamina?
All right, speed and stamina as it pertains to drumming. Let's talk about football first. Tom Brady was 23. 23-year-old Tom Brady was a 6th-round draft pick for the Patriots. Tall, lanky, ran the 40-yard dash in 5.28 seconds. Most quarterbacks do it in under 5.
Man.
He's now in his mid-40s, 43, I think. Been to the Super Bowl 10 times. About to win another one, most likely. By the time you're listening to this, maybe you're like, what were they thinking? They lost. But we'll see. We'll see how it shakes down. But Brady wakes up at 5.
Tom Brady's also lost in the Super Bowl before.
He has lost.
So,
yeah. And everyone's shocked and excited, actually.
Yeah.
Brady wakes up at 5:30 in the morning. He meets his trainer at 8. He works out, couple workouts a day. And I just thought I found it fascinating recently when I heard something about Tom Brady and why he's successful. So Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, probably the better quarterback all around, right? Smart decision making, able to scramble, get out of the pocket, make moves, sort of make the defense question what he's going to do. Whereas with Tom Brady, he's a pocket quarterback. He's going to stand there and he's going to try to find someone. He's going to try to find hands. So Aaron Rodgers, though, isn't in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady is. Lucky, maybe, a little bit. But there's something about Tom Brady that makes him uber successful and the GOAT in many people's minds. And it's his confidence. His confidence to his confidence to say, you know what, no matter how much we're down, we can win this game. Super Bowl 2016, was it? They were down like 28 points, 25 points at the half. Came back and won. So he makes everybody better. But I heard an interview recently where he was talking about how does he do that under pressure? How does he have that confidence? And his advice was to relax. So I want to talk about that as it pertains to drumming, because in drumming, oftentimes our thinking is, as we've talked about, drum sets up on a riser, spotlights are on it, everybody's watching, get up there and just hammer down with everything you've got. The more muscles you have, the better. The stronger you are, the better. I mean, you look at it as like this instrument that requires an enormous amount of physical ability, which is true. Next to singing, as we've talked about, I think drumming is the most physically demanding instrument, but not in the way that you think. So I want to talk about Matt Halpern. When Matt Halpern plays drums,
dude's a beast.
He is just flowing, right? Cymbals, all the cymbals are moving all of the time. And he speaks to this physical element a lot. If you haven't heard of Matt Halpern, check him out. So good. But he's just a perfect example of, like, you don't see huge biceps and huge quads on this dude. He's fit and he takes care of his body, as does Tom Brady. But his ability to play with this relaxation is what gives him both speed and stamina. The opposite of that would be to be tense and locked up and inhibit your body the luxury of playing something for a long period of time. It's almost like this, Tim. What if I were to tell you, okay, I want you to hold your breath and I want you to run as fast as you can around your development, but you can't breathe. And you're like, wait, you want me to hold my breath, don't breathe, and run as fast as I can? Okay. And your first thought is like, I'm only going to make it so far, right?
Right, yep.
Your body needs oxygen. It's how it deals with the exertion that it's putting out. The same is true with drumming. And I have to remind myself this a lot. If I don't breathe as I'm playing actively, it's like you're sitting at the gas pump and you're just fueling up with gas all of the time. You're constantly filling up with gas if you're constantly breathing. And it's weird that we have to remind ourselves of that. Like, keep breathing. Breathing equals relaxation. It's like, look at yoga. You're constantly focused on your breathing, your pace.
Yeah.
I don't even do yoga, and I know that just by watching other people do it. It makes a lot of sense to me. The reason it makes sense is because it's part of your body being locked into that gas pump,
right?
And being constantly in a state of being recharged. So I haven't even really talked about playing drums yet, right? It's all about it's all about what you're doing as the person holding the sticks, and that's the whole point here. Is like the drums themselves are only an instrument. You are the one that is conducting how they're being played, and so really, it's all on you. It's all on you. It's not really. There aren't any other factors here. So when you sit down to play, focus on your breathing. When you sit down to play, focus on playing the long ball, not just getting through this really, really fast fill, right? When you sit down to play, think about relaxing. That means how you're sitting. It means how you're positioned on your throne. It means your mindset. If you're happy to be there, you're going to be more relaxed. So, do I do this all the time? Absolutely not. I was just in a session this week. Some of the parts are too hard for me to play. Totally not relaxed. Did I play well? Not really. When do I play my best? When I'm relaxed. My ankles are really loose. The back of my heel's pretty close to the pedal. My wrists are free flowing, and I don't feel drained at the end of the song. I know I play better like that. Like now that I have my studio and I'm filming stuff, I know I play better. Like it's amazing if I just remind myself to do what feels unnatural, which is just to relax, let my heel down, sit back. That feels unnatural to me. I'm not sure if it's because I've been trained to do something else for a long time or not. It feels unnatural. If I do that, I play better. So then I always ask myself the question, why do I not do that at first? I don't know why. It takes me a little bit to get there. I get there. It takes me a little bit. I don't always live in that place. But I do know that when I'm relaxed and I'm sitting back and I'm breathing, I just play better, man. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. So it's funny that you said we didn't even talk about drums yet, because that's the key right there. And even like if you break down rudiments,
right.
and playing drums the quote unquote right way, as if there's one way to do it. But I mean, in most cases, if you're improving as a drummer, you're finding that you're doing less with your body. A lot of people that I see playing drums are like tense and they're playing like this. And a lot of young drummers or, drummers starting out, not necessarily young, drummers who just started are very active. They're moving their arms around. This is going to be turned into another GIF. I can already feel it. That movement. The last one was terrible.
Can't wait to see that one.
But as you improve and grow as a drummer, you start to realize I don't need to move my whole arm. I just need to move my wrist.
No, that's exactly right.
And same with feet. I don't need to move my legs up and down. I just need to move my ankles. And you start to realize these things that not only take less effort and less energy, but also allow you to play faster. Even like I think one of Adam's lessons on on the Inner Circle lesson channel, whatever, was just talking about how to use your wrists even less by using your fingers. I mean, that's like if you can use your fingers in tandem with your wrist, I mean, you can pretty much scale that speed as quickly as possible. I'm not a fast drummer. The fastest stuff that I do is like pop punk, which is, I guess, relatively fast, but like I'm not doing like crazy double kick or anything. The best advice that I can give you, taking it to the kit now, would be play slow. Play slow for a really long time. I can't stress the importance of like playing fast is one thing, and if you want to sound terrible but fast, then just start playing fast. Just play as fast as you can. It's not going to sound good. If you want to play fast and sound good, play that part very slow. You can spend your entire session just getting that part down. It doesn't matter how. You just play it as fast as you can. Well, if you start to get sloppy, slow it down. And just keep playing it at that speed until you're locked in. And then maybe when you get to the kit the next time, try to speed it up a little bit. See where you can play it well. And that's how I would say to grow your speed. And I think stamina will actually come naturally there because you're going to start to realize this is how I play this part. I don't need to tense up. And for me, at least, I'm more tense when I'm playing a part that I'm not familiar with.
That's exactly right.
Because the muscle memory isn't there. So I know we're starting to sound like a broken record, but it's because there's some of these key focuses are important. And it plays its way into every other aspect of drumming. Muscle memory, knowing the parts is going to improve how you play them, hands down.
Yeah.
Starting slow is going to enable you to play fast down the road if you keep practicing at it. Practice makes perfect. It is the, everyone's heard that term, but it's honestly the truest statement when it comes to drumming. You have to put the time in. And then exactly what Matt said, like being relaxed. Like the reason Tom Brady is such a great quarterback is because he just relaxes. And you can tell.
And it's when it matters too. I guess the most important thing, maybe as a drummer, if you're listening to this, you're thinking, okay, I can be relaxed when no one's watching, right? I completely agree with you. Like that's how I am. I don't really like playing in front of people, as funny as that sounds, because it's my job. I enjoy it. I enjoy it when I'm confident and feel able-bodied to do it. But if I'm feeling unconfident, it's one of the scariest things in the world.
Pressure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you're expected to do something that you don't feel prepared to do. So if you're sitting there thinking, okay, I can be relaxed, I can do all this when there's no one watching, but when it really matters, I fall apart. That's what I'm talking about with Tom Brady. Tom Brady's his ability to be successful is really contingent on his ability to relax when it really matters. And so I guess for me, like if I'm in the studio and I know I'm under the scalpel, I know I'm being recorded, I know I'm going to see all those peaks hopefully lining up on the grid in Pro Tools. I try to just remember that I'm doing this because I love it, because it's for me, and no one else is going to be as critical of me as I am critical of myself.
Right.
You are going to be more critical of yourself than other people are. So don't feel like you can't show your weaknesses, like you have to hide the fact that you're imperfect from other people. They already know that. And they're less critical of you than you are. For me, if I'm able to come to terms with the fact that I'm going to make mistakes and I don't have to hide those mistakes from other people, I play more relaxed. Think about it. Like if I used to have a speech impediment. I used to stutter. If I'm afraid of showing you that speech impediment, I'm probably going to stutter more.
Right.
Right? Because I'm more tense. I'm more concerned about it. I'm thinking about it. As a drummer, if you're concerned that other people are going to see you as an imperfect drummer, guess what? You are. Everybody is. No one is perfect. So come to terms with that, knowing that other people expect that from you. They don't expect perfection. And then you'll be able to relax because you say, oh, it's okay. I'm going to miss that. I just missed that. No problem. And you're just able to breathe your way through it. I think for me, I wish someone would have told me that 20 years ago so that I would have known I don't have to put on this facade that I'm perfect just because I'm in a band and on a record label and touring and playing in front of people, But for some reason that was sort of built into me. I'm a perfectionist. That's probably part of it.
That's
probably part of it.
That's definitely it. I mean, it's really true. Like if you have, like they say, if you have like some kind of physical ailment or something that you consider wrong with yourself, because it's quote unquote weird or different, in most cases, you're the one drawing attention to that thing in conversation with others. While you were talking, I remembered a story, and you probably don't even remember this, but our bands played a festival. I don't even remember what year. This must have been 2006 or 7 or something. Our bands played the same festival in Jersey.
In Jersey.
And
Revelation Generation.
Yes.
Rev Gen.
Rev Gen. That's right.
Of course I remember this.
So
I love that music festival.
Yeah, so I was able to catch your set. So I was standing side stage with another band, Fireflight. I don't know if anyone listening knows who they are, but and I just remember, so I knew you. I had seen you play before. They had only heard your music. They had never seen you play live. And I remember, I forget her name, but the lead singer of that band was standing next to me, and she was just like in awe watching you play drums. Like she was like shaking her head, and like she kept like tapping my shoulder, like look at, you know. And I was like, yeah, I know. And I'll never forget this. Like it was such an awesome performance, and I remember like catching you after the show, and you like looked at me, and you're like, dude, that was such a bad show. Like I played so bad, and I was like, dude, no one would have even noticed. Like literally the singer of this band was like tapping my shoulder every time we did some crazy fill.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, that's a testament right there. You felt like you played horribly.
Yeah.
And the singer of a professional touring band was sitting there freaking out at how good that was. You know, it's just funny.
Same
the
story.
Contrast, you know,
I've had that same conversation so many times with other drummers. Exactly the same thing where I'm like, that was so sick, Aaron Gillespie. And he's like, oh, that was trash. I played horrible. I'm like, dude, I know what trash is. I'm a drummer. Like I do this. Yeah. And I know what you're saying when you say I played horribly. I say that too. You did not play horribly.
You're your own worst enemy.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the thing.
So
you're
remember
your biggest
that.
critic.
Please remember that. Like you're going to play better if you remember that other people are less critical of you than you are of yourself.
Yeah.
Use that to your advantage. So in other words, you're going to play worse if you're focusing on what other people find in your playing to be imperfect. Other people know you're not perfect. Play with that in mind, and you'll play better because you're relaxed, and when mistakes happen, and they will, you'll get through them.
Yeah. Yep. That's it.
That's it. Now, can we all follow that advice? Not all the time. Not all the time. 3 days ago, I was not following my own advice, but that's why we talk about it on here. It's a good reminder, and you know, I would be anxious to hear how that is helpful to drummers who are listening to this. So if you have found that to be helpful, send us a message. We'd love to hear it. Maybe we can read it on the next episode, you know, talk about some of the messages we get. Like, hey, that was terrible advice and definitely doesn't work. And I got kicked out of my band because I relaxed and I couldn't play the songs, you know, like, whoops, all right.
Yeah, it is interesting seeing incredible drummers with terrible form. And like, how do you do that? Like,
that's true.
You know, how does that even work? But it happens. So I mean, everyone has their own way of playing, and you know, sometimes looking tense might be the most comfortable thing for you.
Travis Barker doesn't have like this kind of technique, and he's
choked up on the stick, worst form.
He holds the stick like this.
Yeah, I think it's even higher than that. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it looks uncomfortable, but he's comfortable, and he's been playing incredibly for years. You know, I mean, it's crazy. One other thing I will say is I want to reference a conversation that we had. I don't know if it was a year ago, but you had talked about Dave Elich and not fighting the drums. Like, I think that's something, if you're struggling with certain parts that are very fast, break down the part. Figure out where am I going with this? Where am I screwing up? Where am I hitting I'm hitting the high tom rim every time I try to transition, and try to figure out maybe my kit isn't set up right. Yeah. You know, everyone wants their kit to look cool, and sometimes you want to match the drummers that you idolize, but ultimately, like, you have to set the kit up for yourself. You know, if there's a tom that's getting you every single time you try to play this part, there's a good chance it's in the wrong spot.
No, that's true.
I mean, you know, that's so keep that in mind as well, just as a side note before we wrap this topic up, because I think, make sure that you are comfortable with your kit setup. Yeah. Because that ultimately is also going to help you play faster. No,
that's true. I care a lot about the aesthetics, but I started with a snare drum and a kick and a hi-hat. I took everything else away 15 years ago. Just played with those three instruments. Closed my eyes or turned off the lights. I can't remember. And I just moved them until it felt good. Turn the lights on. Open my eyes. Tom 1, Tom 2. That felt good. Tom 3.
There you go. Yep.
So do the same thing, I would say. And then if it looks dumb, and you really care about the aesthetics, which I understand, move some stuff around that's maybe a little bit less inconsequential. like your cymbals, you know. Snare drum and kick placement are really and tom one are really important as far as like how I'm bounced on the kit.
Yep.
But at the same time, you know this is true too. Like if your kit sounds bad and it looks bad, it takes away a lot of the joy of playing.
It does.
Like when your kit's tuned up, you know, and it looks good and it all feels good. That's important. It's all important.
It plays into it. It plays into it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're noticing certain, certain things that are happening consistently,
yeah,
focus, put some effort towards fixing it.
No, that's right. Yeah. Okay, faith topic.
Cool.
Faith topic is a faith
what are
topic
you missing out
picked,
on?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
So how about you head this one off?
I will, yeah. I'm going to start by reading a verse. It's Luke 10, or a few verses, I guess. Luke 10, 38 through 42. And let's see where this goes. It's a verse that I'm sure any of you who have grown up in the church, maybe if you've only attended church 3 times, you've probably heard a sermon on this because it's such a popular verse.
Yeah.
But I'm going to read it and see where the conversation goes. So Luke 10, 38 through 42. Now as they went on their way, Jesus entered a village, and a woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to his teaching. But Martha was distracted with much serving, and she went up to him and said, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve all alone? Tell her then to help me." But the Lord answered her, "Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things, but one thing is necessary. Mary has chosen the good portion, which will not be taken away from her." So, more recently, I've heard a lot of commentary around the good qualities of Martha, which I think there are a lot of good qualities. And even Jesus in this passage doesn't say that she's in the wrong.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people have taught or preached. Martha's not the bad guy here. There's just a different perspective, right? And so it's really the last 2 lines that stick out to me. But the Lord answered her, "Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things, but one thing is necessary. Mary has chosen the good portion, which will not be taken away from her." And especially that last line, like that time that Mary spent with Jesus is time that will supersede even this life, right? I mean, no one knew exactly what was going to happen to Jesus with his death and resurrection and ascension, but Mary in that moment said, "This is more important. I'm going to sit here and take in everything that I can." And I think that like this is a really good picture of the church. This is a very good picture of how we can get so concerned and consumed with all the things. We can get consumed with making sure that the words are up on the screen on a Sunday morning and that they're all spelled correctly, and making sure that the mix sounds just right for the worship service, and making sure that the lapel mic has a new battery in it for the message, or like there's so many things on a Sunday morning. Being part of production teams and worship bands, and like I see everything that goes into it, and on the offside, like the religious acts, like making sure that the communion plates are nice and shiny, and like there's so many things that we do because we're human, so many things that we feel like need to be perfect that in the grand scheme of things they just don't matter. Even things in our Christian life that we do that just detract, like we think we're doing this because it's what we're supposed to be doing as Christians, when in reality, it matters very little. Like the amount of time spent on some of these things is just ridiculous when we're only spending 5 minutes doing what we actually should be doing, which is listening, spending time in God's presence, serving, Like there are so many things that we're not doing that we really should be doing. And I think this is a really good picture of like, so Martha was in the kitchen, preparing a meal. It's important. Mm-hmm. No one's saying it's not important. Mm-hmm. She was cleaning. She wanted to tidy up her house. She wanted to present something to Jesus because she understood who Jesus was, and it was important to her to do these things. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what did she miss out on? Right? It's not that she was doing the wrong thing. It's not that she even had the wrong idea of who God was. It just didn't dawn on her that like all that time spent was time that she wasn't receiving. And so that makes me think like, okay, she wasn't receiving. How many times am I caught up with other things and I feel like I need to be doing? I feel like I need to be serving. I feel like I need to be preparing. I feel like I need to be doing my part as a good Christian, whatever that means. And I'm not receiving. It's clear in this passage what was most important was that Mary was receiving from Jesus.
There's a clear distinction you're making that I really like. And it's so here's what I'm hearing from you. When someone reads the Bible, they might say, I can't do that. I can't live a Christian life. It's too restricting because it's telling me there are all these things I can't do. All of these things that are wrong. These commandments I must follow. What I'm hearing you say is there are commandments that you can or cannot follow. If you follow them, you will receive. You will get something that you would not have otherwise gotten. If you don't obey, if you don't listen, if you aren't guided by the words of the Bible and by what Jesus wants for your life, it's not that you're doing something that he says, that's wrong. How dare you? That's terrible. There is a certain judicial system inside of God's parameters, yes. There is responsibility that has to be taken seriously in the end. There has to be justice. But the bottom line is it's not that there are things that God is saying that is wrong. That is wrong, and therefore you shouldn't do it. It's you're missing out on what you could be having right now. Yeah. And this is just a zoomed in version of what I see as the prodigal son. Whereas the older brother is working at home, he's doing all the right things. He thinks he's in step with what his father wants for him because he's not doing anything wrong. In the end, he doesn't receive the blessing, the feast, because he's so wound up, so caught up, so distracted by what he thinks is right and wrong. And how could his younger brother feast and be invited into a party that he doesn't deserve, by the way, that was paid for by the older brother? Because the younger brother, when he asked for his inheritance, took it. There was only 50% left, which was the older brother's. So there was bitterness, there was resentment. In this case, you have someone doing the responsible thing of being a good host. Like you said, it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just a lesser thing. Jesus' words, better. The opposite of better is lesser, I would say, in this case, It's she could have been, but she wasn't. Yeah. And I think that can help us. See, this is a tough line to walk, because you might be listening to this thinking, wait a second. So what about sin then? Sin has repercussions. But oftentimes we look at sin as like, God hates me. I'm condemned to hell because of the sin that I've committed. No. Hold on a second. Sin does create a barrier between you and God, but Jesus bridges that gap. He is our intercept, our direct line to God, that even though we sin, is what we receive as a result of grace. And continuing to sin, continuing to avoid what God really wants for us, not only separates us from Him, but we don't get to receive what He has for us. And that's the real travesty. The real travesty is that there's a lot more to miss than we think sometimes. And if we would just remember that, it would be our motivation to do what is done in the story, which is put the dishes down and go over and do something that seems, almost silly. Almost silly. But like you said, it's something that she'll take with her forever.
Yeah. I love that you brought up the prodigal son story, because I agree. It's very similar. And one of like this mind-blowing moment for me as a person, as a Christian, was when it was put into perspective for me that we are not the prodigal son. We're the big brother. And I was like, wait, what? Because all of a sudden it was like, oh, I've been doing all this, laboring and serving and to try to earn something. And the most powerful line in that passage, in my opinion, is when the father says, what are you talking about? All of what I have is yours. And like if I was that big brother in that moment, and when this dawned on me, I was the big brother in that moment, and it was God telling me, what are you talking about? All of what I have is yours. You don't have to earn this. You've inherited it. Like, it's not that you've, working is what got you here. Like, you've always had it. And that doesn't mean this isn't a call to be foolish. It's not a call to be a bad steward of what you have, but it is a call to make that distinction, to say, what am I missing out on? Like, am I living in a way that's trying to earn what I already have? Like, how ridiculous does that sound when it's put into perspective? Like, why would anyone try to earn something that they already own? Take ownership of your faith. Take ownership of what Jesus has done for you. It's not, Christianity is not about following the rules to have salvation. Christianity is about, you have salvation. Therefore, you want to follow the rules. And we've said this before in a number of different ways, but I think the point here that I really want to drive home is just like, take a step back and look at the big picture of your life and try to figure out, like, what are you missing out on? A good example would be like, if I was so consumed with, all right, I'm going to say August Burns Red for a minute, because a lot of you listening might relate. If I was really consumed with August Burns Red, and I wanted to be in line for the show so I could get the best seats or the best standing room, I wanted to be right up at the barrier to see this show. I might miss that moment when Matt and the band walks from the tour bus to the back of the venue, and I'll miss out on that opportunity to say hi or to have a quick conversation or, like, it's a terrible example, but look at your life. What are you missing out on? What are you so focused on doing the right thing or the thing that makes the most sense that you might actually miss out on what's more important?
Dude, this is so important that we hear and that we remind ourselves of this. Stop it. Just stop. Stop. Stop working for something that you already have ownership of. You already have access to. You have it. You don't need to work for it. You can't work for it. You can't. It's impossible. Yeah. You already have it. You can't. You can't strive to earn it because it's yours. You already have it.
Right.
You already have it. It must be so frustrating to be God, because you're just like, I've given you this. Stop. And yet we need to, for ourselves, for our own sanity, feel like we've earned it in some sense. We all do it. We are all the older brother. Yeah. It feels better. That's right. We can live with ourselves. We can live with the fact that we mess up. We can live with the fact that we make mistakes. We can live with the fact that we sin, because at least we've done something to earn the grace that we've been given. No, you can't, because you've sinned. Yeah. You haven't lived a perfect life, therefore you don't deserve what you've been given in return. You can't earn it. And the fact that you have to sit down and relax, by the way, the same word from the the drum topic can be applied here. It's upsetting to us, man. It's upsetting because we have to live with the fact that we didn't do it ourselves. And there's this like false humility that plays into this that's really toxic inside Christianity. That I'm better than you because I know we're all Christians, or I know that we've all been given this grace by God, but I do this and you don't. Or I don't do this and you do. No. Look at these two stories. Can't do that. Can't do that. If you believe the Bible's true, that will not stand. God will not tolerate it. You will not be invited into the feast. You'll be invited. You just won't go.
Yeah,
You'll be invited. You just won't go. And that's what C.S. Lewis said, right? C.S. Lewis was bold in this. He's like, the only reason you won't get into heaven isn't because God won't let you in. This is very much so paraphrasing. This is what I gathered from it. Yeah. Maybe I'm mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. The only reason you're not getting into heaven isn't because God doesn't let you. It's because you've chosen to not be there. You don't want to be there. You do not want to be there.
Yeah.
You've gotten to that gate and you've said, nope, I cannot live knowing that I'm not in control of something. I have to have control over at least something, some part of my life. That's what it is. It's control. Yeah. It's control. The prodigal son teaches us that we have a God who's even better than the father in that parable, in that story. He's even better than that father. He's a father who will say to us over and over and over and over and over and over again till he's out of breath that we're invited into the feast.
Right.
And we'll say no over and over and over and over and over again. He's the kind of God, the kind of father who will not only come sprinting to meet us on the road, he'll come to the pig pen where we've exhausted all resources and we are done. He'll meet you there. He wants to be there, man, because he knows you're a lot easier to talk to in that moment because you've got nothing to offer. That's the point. The point is that if you're the older brother, you're hard to talk to. You're hard to negotiate with because you have all of these reasons that you feel entitled to what you've been given. No, you don't have any ground to stand on when it comes to salvation. The younger brother at least knows he's got nothing. He's wished you dead the moment he asked for his inheritance. That's what it meant when he said, I want my inheritance. He wished his father dead.
Yeah.
That's the reminder we all need. That's the reminder Mannheim needs. That's the reminder Lancaster County needs. We think that we have what it takes, at least part of it, to get salvation, and we don't. And it's despicable, honestly. It's like spitting on the miracle of salvation.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I hold true, and you kind of touched on this with the C.S. Lewis paraphrase, but like I do believe that heaven's gates are latched from the outside. The only people that you're just not letting yourself in, and I think it's very clear to me when I read the Bible that we are going to give an account, and the crazy thing is the reason we're giving an account isn't for God to. He is going to judge us, but the funny thing is that he's not. he's going to judge us, but really the judgment is all on ourselves. And this is funny because it ties into the speed and stamina topic a little bit too. Is that we are our own worst enemy.
That's
in
right.
In this instance, we are our own biggest critic. We're going to give an account, and we're going to start to realize I do not compare. I do not deserve to be in heaven. And that is the place that we all need to get to. Ultimately, that's where we all need to be.
That's right.
And the sooner we get there, as soon as we find that humility, the sooner we realize that we are terrible people, awful people who don't deserve the grace of God, the quicker we'll realize the gravity of that grace. And all we have to do is accept it. I mean, like, I kept saying the word received when I was referring to Mary being there with Jesus for a reason, because salvation is a gift. It's already been given. we have the choice whether to receive it or not. That's on us. That's the only thing we have to do, and it's really not anything. It's a very passive acceptance. Is you just have to receive it. We just have to open that latch to heaven's gates and walk in. And the thing that's going to hold us back is when we see people who we don't feel.
That's exactly right.
Who we feel deserve it less.
That's right.
Right? Like if I walk and I open that latch and see Hitler is in heaven, I'm going to be pretty pissed because like that guy is a terrible human being, But the thing is, at the end of the day, none of us earned it. None of us compare. None of us hit the mark. So who cares? Who cares who gets in heaven? Because heaven is about the glory of God. Heaven is about experiencing the fullness, And I think all of these passages are often misinterpreted and misexplained. I grew up thinking that I was the prodigal son, that I was the one who walked away and was accepted back. As soon as that picture changed for me, it was a game changer because I realized I am the one judging the lesser or the seemingly lesser. I'm the Martha judging Mary for receiving, for realizing their flaws and wanting to get as much as they can. I always love talking to like new Christians. In fact, it was one of the things that like attracted me to my wife at first. Like she was a fairly new Christian when I met her, and she was so zealous. She just wanted to learn, like she accepted that she was flawed and she just wanted to learn. And I was like big, I've been a Christian for a long time. I know the drill. Yeah. But really I was so far behind even her. I didn't have that zeal. I didn't have that excitement to learn and to receive and to grow. And so I had stuck myself in a spot that I wasn't moving anywhere. I was just still under the impression that I had done what I needed to do. And I wasn't receiving, It's like, so how are we doing that? As Christians in the church, how are we doing that? Like, I think I've talked to you about it. You actually don't like playing drums for worship because it's hard for you to worship. It becomes a performance. And I think that I don't necessarily feel that way when I'm playing drums, but, in a worship setting. But I do know that there are other things that I get caught up in service for the church or for what I feel is my Christian duty. Again, I'm going to throw that word out there. That I get caught up in that and forget to receive. I forget to experience God's presence. So as Christians, let's try to focus on what's most important. What Jesus has time and time again iterated here in the scripture. That we need to receive. That's the most important thing. That's going to benefit us in the long term. And if you're not a Christian, I guess my advice would just be that it doesn't matter. You can still receive. Like the end goal here is receive.
Yeah, that's right.
The end goal here is recognize your flaws and move forward.
The guy in Mannheim in that parking lot is all of us, screaming, yelling, frustrated, angry, bitter, resentful, messed up. I challenge everyone listening to this to think of a recent interaction with someone that they feel like they were in the right and the other person was in the wrong. And I want you to put yourself in their shoes, so much so that you're saying, I am them. That is me. Because at the root of it, it is. It is you. It is you. It is you, because we are all flawed. And as much as we see flaws as living in varying degrees, some are worse than others. On a human level, they are. On a spiritual level, the Bible tells us otherwise. And I would just challenge us all to look at it. Damn it, stop working to get this. Stop it. Just stop. Even if it's just today, just sit back and stop. Every time your brain goes to like, oh, I can't believe that person did that, or I would never do that. No. Stop. Just stop yourself in that moment and put yourself in their shoes, you are a person that would do that. You in and of yourself, are sinful. You are. Live with that, face it, and then accept the fact that you've been forgiven of it.
Yeah.
And when you realize that, it will change you. Real change. Not the kind of change that's social change and cultural change. It's like formidable change. It's underneath every other change that actually lasts, that sticks, that's rooted in the fact that you love something and you want to change. Not, I have to change because this is wrong. You want to. You can't believe that you have the opportunity to. Like Jake, the singer from my band, said recently, you don't have to do that thing. You get to do it. You don't have to drop your kid off at school. You get to do it. Like, you should feel pretty fortunate to have that opportunity. You know, we get to do this podcast. We don't have to do it.
That's right. Yeah. It's a privilege.
So there's a verse I want to wrap up with. Tim Keller, my favorite pastor and author, spoke on this years ago in a podcast called Authentic Christianity. I've talked about it before. The reason it stuck with me is because presumably he's read this verse a lot. We all have.
Yeah.
And when he reads it at the end of his sermon on Authentic Christianity, he says, wow, really? And it's like he was reading it for the first time, even though he's read it 100 times. And I want all of us to look for that, you know, as we hear this verse. I want all of us that are Christians to look for that in our lives today, no matter what it is. You've heard it 1,000 times, but it's like you're hearing it for the very first time. Whether it's the relationship you have with your spouse, your kids, you've been in that relationship for a while. There have been a lot of painful things that have happened. I want you to look at it as if it's all new, and you get to have that relationship. You get to have that experience. It's not that you have to. So here's the verse, Matthew 11:28 and 29. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest in your souls. Tim Keller's response was, wow, really? I think that that's the response we all need to have, knowing that no matter what it is that you're carrying with you, man, like you said, Tim, you can receive what Jesus has for you. You can rest. You can relax. You can exhale. It's not on you.
Yeah.
Thank God. It's not on us. It's not. Just relax.
Yep. Yeah. I think that sums up both topics. Just relax.
True. I never would have thought we would be able to correlate those two, but sure enough, sometimes you're a little surprised by how similar. So if you fast forward to this to the faith topic, you got a little drum topic in there actually with that. It's pretty much the same synopsis. So thank you guys so much for listening to this. Thank you, Tim, for putting time aside. I know you're about to go through a whirlwind here with having a second. And
hey, you're just as busy as I am, so this was a champion episode.
That's true. That's very true. I'm excited for you.
So
excited for
I'm excited
to hear how things go, and by the time this comes out Wednesday, we'll all know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have plenty more to talk about with two children. I'm preparing myself to learn and to grow, and to learn new methods of handling frustration and exhaustion. And I'm also very excited. I think I said this in an earlier episode, but I'm excited to experience an expanded capacity to love.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand how it's going to work because I love my son so much, and I know it's not going to retract from my love for him.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm going to basically be the Grinch. My heart's going to grow a little bit bigger in a matter of days, and I'm excited for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're a good dad, a good husband, and I'm excited to see your family grow. So thank you. Thank you everyone for listening to this, tracking along with us.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, send us an email if any of this if you're thinking about this during the week, or if this makes you think of a story or something that relates to what we're talking about, we'd love to hear about it. And then we'll talk about it in the February 25th episode upcoming.
Yep.
And appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're listening for the first time, we do have a Patreon that basically pays the bills for us and keeps us going. And that's patreon.com/Holy Ghost Notes. There are a number of different levels of support that you can buy into, and that gives you various different incentives. I think at the third tier, you get access to mattgrinerlessons.com, where there's, tons of material there at this point, and weekly drummer hangouts, which everyone seems to love. But even at the first tier, you get into our incredible Inner Circle community group, which I say often, but it is arguably the best thing about the entire Patreon experience. So check it out if you're interested, if you'd like to support us, if you'd like to be more a part of what's going on. I've got a couple new shout-outs, actually. So shout-out to Nicholas Lewis, or Bam Bam Lewis, as he signed up under that name.
Bam Bam. Nice.
Welcome.
Bam Bam.
And Christian Ashmore.
What's up, Christian?
Who is a brother of one of the other members that we've got on here. So,
Thanks for
very
signing
cool.
up, guys.
So welcome, guys. Thank you for signing up. And if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, I would love to hear about them. Matt and Tim at theholyghostnotes.com is our email address. And use hashtag Holy Ghost Notes on your drum videos for a chance to be featured on our social media pages. And drop us a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. The reviews help, apparently. And so if you have a few extra seconds, drop us a review. Could be 1 star, could be 5. Doesn't matter. We love you anyway. Preferably 5. And I think that's it.
That's it.
We got merch on the site, and thank you guys for listening. You guys are the best. Can't say that enough. Literally have the best community around us.
For sure.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you very much. Tim, good luck the next couple days. I'll be thinking and praying for you.
Thank you. Thanks.
And we'll be seeing you.
Yes. That's right. It's about that time.
Too cool. Too cool.
Too cool.